Hello, lovely souls. Welcome to Cosmo Muse Tarot. This Monday, we are going to do an astrologically based reading. So we're going to do 4 piles, and these piles are going to be looking at what the new transit of Jupiter through Gemini will bring up for you. So Jupiter is our largest planet in the solar system. It has a lot to do with creating expansion, pushing our boundaries, and finding sort of like grand visions and adventures in life. And it spends about 1 year in each sign, so it's always kind of fun to track its movements. It is moving out of Taurus after about a year on May 25th, and I know this reading will come out a few days after that, but we will have, almost a full year of Jupiter in Gemini now. Once you read this, or not read it, once you come to this, the planet will have already moved. So this is a timeless reading to a point, timeless for the next year. So from end of May 2024 until about June 2025 is the window of when this, so I guess I shouldn't say timeless, but it has a long time for people to come to this reading and get something from it, a full year of influence. So Jupiter moving out of Taurus was really trying to expand a lot of things having to do with self-worth, finding our voice. And I'm going to be speaking more on a personal stage here because that's what most people come to readings for. There are a lot of culture moments that Jupiter brings up. Like an example of that is when it's been in Taurus. Taurus has a lot of association with the feminine energy succeeding in the masculine world. That's just one element. And we did see Taylor Swift's Eras tour and Beyonce's Renaissance tour really dominate in culture this year and really be powerhouses and, bring huge economic moments to all the cities they stopped at, that kind of thing. So just an example of like how it does touch on culture. But in this reading, I will be focused on personal life, so personal matters. So how will Jupiter expand things for you in the Gemini energy? And Gemini has a lot to do with communication, community, finding a sense of belonging, working with your mind and mentality. So we can work with learning new things. We can work with understanding our minds and mental health. So all sorts of beautiful things in terms of connection and movement and community and identity. Gemini also has a real interest in focusing on what is our identity. It has a little bit of a teenager mode to it, so it can bring out a side to us that is flirtatious, intelligent, moody, sensitive, but also like loving to feel hyper-connected, loving to learn, loving to get out and move around and explore life and create a lot of possibility. So one thing when I think of like the time of being a teenager, it's like there's so much possibility. So Jupiter could expand on this for a lot of us, creating new possibility in our lives. Okay, so let's pick our 4 piles, and this is a tarot that only has the major arcana. I came across it on social media and just there was a one of those fundraising like a GoFundMe for the deck, and it had closed when I came across this, so I just DM'd the creator of the deck, and he still had a few, so I was able to get one. So it's not a deck you would probably be able to find at this point, but I do want to give credit to the maker of it anyway, so I'll put that in the descriptions, but it's Gabriel Alejandro Lumiere. I don't know that I pronounced that correctly, but he's a Spanish artist. Okay, so let's get our 4 piles for you to choose from. And I I know that the words are in Spanish, but a lot of them you can probably figure out. It might feel similar to the English word, but I kind of want you to focus in on the image and not what the card necessarily is in selecting your pile. So I'm going to be using these fun little candles to cover up the title of the card. And you may, if you're familiar with tarot, you may be able to figure out which tarot card it is anyway. But whether you do figure that out or not, just sort of look a little bit more to the image. That's sort of the thing I'm hoping resonates for you and pulls you into the pile that is meant for you. These are very wonky. Hold on one second. I didn't put them out very straight, did I? Okay. And then let me just cover up. Okay. All right, so you might look at the candle color, you might look at the image, or pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, pile 4. Maybe the number is the thing that sticks out to you. Whatever it is, take your time. If you need to pause, you can do so. And once you have selected your pile, you can jump to the timestamp in the description, and I will see you guys in your readings. Hello, pile 1. Welcome to your reading all about Jupiter in Gemini for you. And so what we're first going to look at is the card you chose, which is the Fool. So there's something about this transit that could, in a really pronounced way, be sending you on a whole new kind of journey. It's bringing in what will feel like a new chapter of life. Because that feels like such a big deal, my guess is a lot of people that came here could be people that are, because Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, rules the sign of Sagittarius as well as is a co-ruler of Pisces. So it is possible that this pile in particular has a lot of Sagittarius and Pisces here. You do not have to be one of those. It's just that this feels like a pretty big, pronounced sort of new chapter coming in. So it just wouldn't surprise me if a lot of you are one of those 2 signs, either in sun or rising. Regardless, no matter what your signs are, and maybe you don't even know, there is something new coming about for you. You are this transit of Jupiter in Gemini. Oh, you could also be a Gemini, so Jupiter moving into your own sign, sun or rising. So Sag, Gemini, or Pisces. But don't worry if you're not one of those. Just kind of a confirmation for people in those signs that this is a pretty big deal. But regardless, whoever you are, whatever your signs are, this transit of Jupiter is opening a very, very fresh new journey up to you, a new chapter in life, and it's asking you to take a leap of faith, to trust your impulses, to trust some new passion that's arising, some new opening that's being presented to you, some kind of new journey that is kind of asking you to walk through a threshold toward something exciting, something interesting, something very different that may shake your life up a little bit. Okay, so next we are also going to take a look at what aspect of you in terms of psyche, personality. We all have very many, like a lot of different dimensions and sides and aspects of who we are. And I kind of want to look at what aspect of you is this going to kind of bring to the forefront, make more pronounced, make more interesting. So the fairy card we have showing up is winter, which is very interesting. So like this makes me feel like the elder aspect of you coming in. So which is an interesting contrast to the Fool, which is a very impulsive young energy. So it's making me feel like you're jumping into something new in terms of the journey, in terms of where you're going, like a path you're going to be taken on. But there's a lot of wisdom and experience you have gained over your lifetime that you will be able to fully utilize. So like stepping into, trying to think of a scenario that would be a helpful example. So let's say this maybe has to do with a new adventure in terms of career. And let's say that you are somebody who's worked a long time in copywriting and marketing, and you've gained a lot of expertise about how to use words, how to use words and grammar and ideas. And suddenly you have this new impulse or some kind of opportunity comes up where it's like you catch the eye of somebody that is in the world of editing and fiction, or in a publishing house doing, working as an editor. And something about your skill set feels interesting to them, and so they kind of like headhunt you to come in and be an editor at a publishing house. And so even though you've been in marketing, which is very different than publishing, there is relationship there, and there are a lot of skills you've already learned, and you wouldn't have had this opportunity open to you had you not already gained those skills. And so the new thing that you are jumping into, yes, there will be learning curves. Yes, there will be new facets of what that journey kind of brings out and pushes on you to grow in. But you have a lot that you can already use, a lot of knowledge, wisdom, experience that can be applied at the same time. So it's like you're coming into the new journey with some authority already in place. But Jupiter is always going to push us to grow. It's always going to push us a little out of our comfort zone, a little over our head into things. So there will still be learning curves around whatever this new thing is to you. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with career. That was just one example. But whatever is kind of opening up to you, whether it's an opportunity coming to you or you just feeling a new impulse, it's sort of like you have a lot to bring to it, a lot of experience and wisdom to bring to it, but there will also be a lot of great new things to learn and understand and grow into. Okay, I'm filling this bottom card. Secrets. Wow, interesting. I do feel, and there's someone with keys to a lock, and the moon to me, that the moon and secrets can go together, but also is like the subconscious, the feminine. There's something that you, I think, just naturally, inherently hold some keys to that are very desirable. And this is why this new opportunity is coming your way, is sort of like there's some skill set or personality trait that is becoming highlighted by Jupiter in Gemini, that people are suddenly like, I want their knowledge, I want that aspect of their personality, But there's something you're being seen for that not everybody has, that's like inborn, like it's ingrained in you. You are just born with something naturally that is not usual, that is not typical, and it's not something you can like go to school to learn. It's something that's part of your personality, I feel like. And it's intriguing, it's mysterious, intriguing. With, you know, next to the winter, it's something really deep, something very wise about you. And people want it. They want the keys you hold. They want your skills, your wisdom, whatever it is. But something about, and it just feels like something, you know, because we're talking about aspects of your personality that are going to kind of be asked to step forward with this. So something about you, something ingrained about you that is getting highlighted and has a direct relationship to a new opportunity or a new impulse in you coming through. Okay, I'm also going to use the Moonology deck, and I'm not super interested in the card interpretation. I'm looking more at personality here. So I'm going to kind of ignore, I'm really looking at the sign that the moon comes in and the phase that it comes in to give me a little bit more about the aspect of your personality that this transit is going to kind of be pulling on and pulling forward. This is another confirmation that there definitely could be some Sagittarians that come to this pile. So this is Sagittarius full moon. We have another full moon here. So this is very fertile and imaginative qualities, very ripe, very fruitful qualities of Sagittarius energy. So I'm kind of reading these cards in tandem. This is giving a little more insight into what these keys are on the moon, having to do with your ability to have vision, your ability to think big or create platforms or work with platforms or work with, like, literally publishing is a Sagittarius thing. Storytelling, which was something that was, you know, I mean, I did talk about, you know, editing fiction. That would definitely be something, you know, Sagittarius are great storytellers, and a full moon is more imaginative than, because Sagittarius in storytelling could go anywhere from documentary to you know, fiction to, you know, whatever, any kind of story, to a news article, right? But with the full moon here, this is more in the imaginal. And so there's something very fertile, something very imaginal. It could have something to do with how you understand narrative or storytelling, but it could also just be very connected to things like knowing how to have and hold big visions, how to shoot for the stars, how to develop philosophies and beliefs in life, how to Sagittarius is really great at debate and argument for the sake of pushing our perspectives, opening ourselves to different perspectives. So even when it's arguing, it's still open to that counter argument. It's that kind of debate, like point and counterpoint, and like really being able to listen to and really push understandings of perspectives. There could be things about connection to global issues, global travel, global issues, something global, for anything foreign or global, anything that has to do with culture. These are just whatever kind of feels aligned to you and your, like, that's inherent in your personality. There's something around that is being brought up in your personality about how you yeah, how you use narrative, how you use perspective, how you push boundaries, how you find vision. These things are being brought forward, and it's this that you have keys to, and something just inborn in you that you've gained a lot of experience around because it's, you know, ingrained in you, that is being brought up regarding some new chapter coming through for you, some new opening, new opportunity, or new passion arising for you. Okay, so next we want to get a little bit of information about what this journey, so Jupiter has a lot to do with pushing us into new journeys. We've already, this is kind of double down for you guys because we already see that with your main card of the Fool, that there is a new journey here. So it's just kind of like doubling down on this, that like in every pile I will be reading the bottom row as a new journey, but for you guys this is indicating that it's not just sort of like, you know, we're engaged in many journeys at once, a journey of things around home, journeys around career, journeys around relationships, journeys around whatever, you know, hobbies we have. And, you know, so for the other piles, this could be journeys that are, you know, not necessarily even the top priority, but for you guys, this journey, because of your Fool card, it's like a very featured, very prominent journey that you are going on. This is very forefront stuff. So let's get a little information about what it is and how that might use the aspects of your personality being pulled forward. So we've got the Temple, interesting. Let's get a couple more, let's get all of the 3 Oracle cards out before I super jump into these. The Warrior and one more, the Astronomer. And what's interesting actually in this Between Worlds deck, the Warrior is actually an archetype of Sagittarius. So that kind of triple confirms that I definitely feel some Sagittarians here. Okay, Discovery and Temple, highlighting the warrior aspect of Sagittarius, which in this, I'm just reading a little bit from the like pull out from this deck. They interpret, because I actually would typically give Warrior to Aries, so I always find it interesting that it's assigned to Sagittarius here. But in the context, what the deck is associating with Warrior here is youthfulness, energetic, strong-willed, social, learning about boundaries, overzealous sense of destiny. I like that sense of destiny here. That's kind of, especially with Astronomer, because when I think about stars, like things written in the stars, there's something about destiny. So whatever this new journey is coming through for you, that's going to be very forefront, a big new chapter, very prominent for you, it's going to feel like it's written in the stars. It's going to feel like it's destined. And I love this discovery under here. That gives the tone of the journey. Even though I'm not finding a lot of details about the journey, other than there's something faded here, it gives the tone of the journey that there will be a lot of discovery. There will be it feels like a whole new world opening up to you. Not just a new path, not just a new chapter of life that's prominent and featured, but like something opening up to you where it's like you didn't even realize there was so much left to discover about life, so much left that you didn't even realize was out there. You could be making discoveries on this new journey, both about yourself, but for the, in whatever this engages, you could be making discoveries for an industry, if this is more career related, for an industry you go into, or if this is about relationships, a whole new understanding of how to, like just generally understanding what relationships are on like whole new levels, making discoveries about how people relate or how to understand this like diplomacy or harmonizing in ways that haven't really been discovered before, either by you or by the world, right? But I do love this. It just feels like your eyes being open to a whole realm that you've never even been aware of. And then with the temple, it's interesting. I'm only getting tones around this journey. I don't have any specifics here, and it might be because it's so different for each of you. But the tone of it is destined. It's opening up a whole new world of discovery you didn't even know was there, and it's going to feel very, very sacred to you. This is going to be something that you will, like, whatever this new chapter is, whatever this new journey is, it's going to take you on a whole path of discovery to understand how to make life more sacred, how to create more sacred energy in you and around you, but also could have you encountering very sacred things and understanding sacred things in the world that you hadn't really had access to or awareness of before. But in general, overall, this journey is really going to instill in you an energy of sacredness, an energy of knowing how to create sacred space within you and around you, how to honor sacred things, how to develop a certain reverence around things. And this is not even religious. It could be religious for some people, but I'm not talking in religious terms here. But reverence, sacredness, honoring, dedication, all of these things coming up. And yeah, just overall, just this thing of like destined, discovery, destined, sacred, and bringing up aspects in you that know how to see big pictures, have a lot of wisdom, the aspects of you that are like the most ingrained in you, that people like bringing up sides of you that can't be learned, that are just like inherently yours. Okay, so to end this reading, we're just going to get a divine feather message to through the message that comes through. It might give a little tiny bit of extra context to maybe what this whole journey is about for you. And I'm feeling this yellow one, Canary. Step forward now and sing your song. There is power in finding your voice. So using your voice is something that may come up in this journey as well. And stepping forward and sing your song does feel like whatever is being pulled forward in you and whatever this journey is that you're being pulled into is aligned to your natural song, your natural harmony, your natural sense of voice, rhythm, harmony. So it just feels very, whatever's coming is just like super, super extra aligned to you. It's going to make you feel stronger in yourself, more confident in yourself. And I do, with the yellow, think of like the solar plexus. So a lot of willpower coming through, a lot of strength in self, a strong will, and just alignment with your center, your core coming through in whatever this is and whatever aspect of you it pulls forward. So wow, very big reading for you guys. This is, yeah, just opening you up into a whole new chapter in a very prominent way, not in like one of your little, aspects of life, but it feels like the main feature of your life is having a new chapter. So, and one that is, yeah, just bringing really aligned, destined, beautiful things towards you. So really great, beautiful, messages coming from this transit. So a big transit for you guys. All right, I hope this resonated. If so, I always appreciate support with likes, shares, subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments as well. If you do like astrology and want more real specific astrological kind of horoscopes and interpretations, I do put out an astrology newsletter. There is a link in descriptions to subscribe to that, so I hope to see some of you over there and getting more real specific astrology wisdom. All right, have a beautiful Jupiter in Gemini transit, everyone. Hello, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading all about how the Jupiter in Gemini transit could present in your life. So to start with, we're going to focus on the card you chose, which is the Emperor card. So an overall general theme coming through here is this transit could help you to bring some order and structure and direction to your life. So for those of you that have felt you've been lacking that a little, that will feel relieving. If that feels exhausting to you right now, like, ugh, why did I pick that? Like, I want more freedom. Something will come up in this transit, and I would imagine pretty quickly, because we're already a few days into it when this video goes up, that will inspire you. This is something that will arise from within you. It's not being pressed upon you against your will. It's just like something that you will start to align with. You will start to feel that energy arising in a focus for you that you want as a focus. So this does not have to be the case, but it may be a nice confirmation for some of you around some astrology. So we could have some people here that have something like Saturn or Mars in Gemini, that then this Jupiter transit will connect with those and highlight those. You could have Gemini in your 10th house or your first house. You could have a Gemini sun as well here. With this kind of coming, like the Emperor giving you a little bit of a sense of regality coming in here. So don't worry if none of those match for you. It's just would be a nice confirmation if that were the case for some people, that it would make sense that this would be a theme. But there's a lot of other reasons why it could be a theme for you. In this particular Emperor card, we do have, it feels like a crow on his shoulder, which I always think of crows as having a lot of sight. A lot of like ability to see past, present, future. So an ability to be able to stand back and see things in a really objective and detached and mature way in order to implement plans and goals. So you may feel that kind of energy come up for you, where you're becoming a little bit more responsible, a little more foresightful, a little more oriented towards big goals and plans that you want to implement. And that could be exciting for some of you. Gemini energy is a little bit of live for today rather than a very planned energy. So Jupiter coming in here could be giving some of you more structure and more confidence in taking on bigger things than you previously had felt, sort of making a side of you or an aspect of you that's been a little bit scattered and a little bit fickle, like bringing more solidity and confidence and foresight to some aspect of you that has needed that. So that's just some general vibes coming through. We are now going to move on and through a few oracle cards, look at the side of your personality. We all have many aspects and sides and dimensions to our personality, but I kind of want to see what this Jupiter in Gemini transit is going to kind of bring to the forefront. What aspect of your personality is going to kind of step forward due to this transit? Birth of magic. Ooh, I love that. And we also have like a dragon in this card that's just been hatched. Birth of magic, a hatched dragon. We've got some daffodils, which are spring energy, and any kind of egg cracking feels like spring energy. So, and that does align with the Emperor. The Emperor is ruled by Aries, which is the very first sign of the Zodiac. It has a spring energy, it has sunrise energy, it has breakthrough energy. So I do feel like this aspect of you that's being pulled forward gives a little more context to the general overall theme we've been looking at. In terms of I think that there is some new order coming in here, some breakthroughs of clarity. And dragons can represent our willpower and our ego, and ego doesn't always have to be bad. I feel like it's like you're identifying some kind of direction in your life, some sort of clarity in your life that then allows your ego to start implementing some willpower to move some things forward, to put some order to things, to give some structure to things, to find drive and energy. So you may start to feel like a little bit more motivation arises in you because a direction is coming through. So that's what this, you could just very simply distill that phrase into everything I've already said. Is some direction is coming through, and to match that, your personality is finding more motivation and drive to move life forward. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards around this aspect of personality that will be kind of highlighted. The Night Ride, which I always feel as protection. And that's interesting. That Aries energy that's coming through strongly here, and this has nothing to do with you having Aries energy. It's more of you could map all of the zodiac signs onto a life cycle of things. So I'm talking more to a new birth in a new life cycle rather than to whether or not you have Aries energy in you, just to clarify. But that new birth energy, sort of like an infant being born, there is some protection over them, at least, typically. I know that, isn't always the case, but generally there is protection. There are hormones that turn on in parents of newborns that make them more protective, that make them more adoring of and wanting to care for something new. So you could feel these types of things turn on in you, like you taking on this very adoring, protective energy towards what's starting, but you could also ethereally feel that around you, like something about you is being protected, which I know we're reading for personality here, but I feel like it's turning on some aspect of trust that you inherently have in the universe to catch you. So that could be part of this, that aspect of you that knows how to trust the universe turns on, but also an aspect of you that knows how to really protect new initiatives in life. And it could be both of those things. Whatever matches to you, you could say one or the other of what I just said, or both and. But I do overall feel this sense of protection coming through, either over you or you towards whatever new thing is kind of hatching here. The elephant in this card knows how to break through any obstacles. So there is also some strength, some solid strength underfoot for you. Like this feels like you have the exact kind of gravitas or weight needed to move whatever is hatching in your life forward. And that elephant actually kind of feels like the emperor too. It's sort of like you're matching energies to whatever this new order, this new foresight and long vision planned theme that's coming up. It's like you're matching it. You're not getting overwhelmed by it, right? Your personality is able to match that and be like, oh, you want to world or transit throw something at me that requires foresight, requires me to have a sense of command in life and planning and structure. I got it. No problem. I can pull that part of me forward. I do have that aspect, that quality in me to match what's being asked of me, kind of thing. Okay, we're also going to get a Moonology card. And just to preface, because I'm reading for personality in this top row, I'm kind of going to ignore the message on the card. I'm looking for the sign and the phase of the moon to dig in a little bit more to the part of your personality that is being pulled forward. Okay, third quarter moon. So we don't have a sign, but we do have a phase, which is a little bit more general, but it does give a lot of information. A third quarter moon has a lot to do with coming into a phase of needing to be more cooperative with others, needing to be more responsive and communal, and being able to get and give feedback with maturity, with a thick skin. So not being, overly, it's interesting because we have a lot of this new energy and protection, but there's also this side of you that does have a tough skin and that does want to work with others, wants to compromise and collaborate and be engaged with others, with community or with partnerships. There's something going on with being able to work well with others or learning how to work well with others, whatever matches for you. Because Jupiter's always taking us on journeys to broaden and expand ourselves. So there may be aspects of you that are learning how to be more cooperative and compromising and harmonizing with others to enter into aspects of life that are more powerful. If we can do a lot in the world by being more self-contained, working for ourselves independently, this and that. But when we start to open up and working with others in the world more broadly, it does indicate more power structures that you have to then develop more maturity to know how to handle with a thick skin. So, and I also think of elephants having thick skins. And I do actually feel an arc here for your personality. The next row that we look at, we are going to look at the journey, but something's already coming up in terms of the growth of your own personality during this transit. You may come from very, that new skin is very soft. It is resilient, but it's not yet tough, right? It's resilient, but not tough. So you're coming from resilience, but some sensitivity. And by the end of the year of this transit, you will have a much thicker skin and a much greater capacity to move from being kind of a solo operator to being more able to enter the realm of power and, cooperation and compromise and working with others in a more worldly way. And it does feel, every step of these cards feels this way, like this newborn. It's very independent kind of energy. To this now, feeling some protection and protectiveness. So it's like maturing. And then we come to here and it's like being able to kind of like, yeah, more broadly be out in the world and handle, you know, the power dynamics that come with being more seen and more integral in things going on in the greater world. So yeah, there is an arc already with personality. But I do now want to go to a second row, and Jupiter has a lot to do with, you know, pushing us into journeys in life. It loves to seek, it loves to push us into new journeys. It loves for us to gain experience by experiencing, not by reading or hearing or, you know, being taught and then being pushed out. Like, it really wants us to just sort of like get ourselves in over our head, have experiences, and learn through experience. It's sort of like the baptism by fire sort of energy. So I want to get more information now about like what is the journey that this transit is going to put on you. Envision. And that feels very connected to the Emperor, which we already saw as like a very general theme coming through. It does feel like there is some kind of, and we've already talked about this, there is some kind of very specific, clear direction coming through for you. Some big vision is arriving for you. You have sort of like a star you are shooting for now that requires very precise aim. And so this transit is going to ask you to weed out a lot of distractions and really limit how you focus on things, which is so paradoxical because Gemini is all about creating all sorts of possibility and all sorts of different timelines and threads. And this is like very opposite energy where it's at. But that is Sagittarius energy, wants us to focus. So it is interesting that, yeah, that is coming through here. Despite being in Gemini, that Jupiter energy of focus is still very strong. But yeah, some kind of vision is coming through that whatever journey you're pushed into has to do with you having some kind of vision and some kind of very specific aim, clear, direct, expansive aim at something very specific. I love seeing the owls here too. That's like a lot of wisdom. Oh, and we have 2 owls up here too. Something about 2 owls. Just, it does feel like protection again. Like you're becoming protective in your personality, but that other side I was talking about where you are protected is now coming through here. Because that wasn't so much about personality, but it was coming through so strongly. But now it's showing up where it should show up. You're protected on whatever journey you're pushed on. And I think it's because you're being given a vision that is something that will push you out of your depths, that will push your comfort zones, and will push you to be very strong and develop a thick skin. Because of that, the grandness of it, you are being protected. So very cool. Okay, let's get another card, the Orphan. Interesting. I have just this, there's like a guidebook for this Between Worlds Oracle that this Orphan is from, but then there's also just this like quick reference. I think the Orphan is one of the guides. Let's see. Oh, it is the guide for the Gemini energy. Fierce independence, lone wolf, resilient, perceptive, names fears, learning to soften, learning to love. Interesting. the orphan. It's interesting, this thing coming through again around resilience. That feels prominent. Something about like learning some resilience will give you sort of like that tougher skin, not to close off, but a tougher skin to open up, to open your heart up again. It's like trusting that you've developed a thicker skin in order to be more vulnerable. Like you may be, the Gemini energy in general is where we find a sense of belonging in life. And I would say the majority of humans have some wounding there, have some orphan energy there of rejection and wounding around belonging. I think there's very few and far between that don't have that kind of wound in the Gemini energy. But there's something that you are really confronting and getting a handle on during Jupiter coming here. It's really helping you to, move from like a resilience you've already got into like a more specific kind of thick skin that allows you to love yourself more, hence feeling like the outer world can't hurt you that much if you love yourself. Like rejection from others doesn't hurt that much if you inherently already love yourself. So part of this journey could be around that, like finding some self-love, finding an ability to open your heart again, and paradoxically finding a thick skin in order to soften, in order to find the ability to soften and be vulnerable. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, let's get one more card down here. I don't really know how these could be. I feel this as a side note. I don't feel that that's your main journey, but it's part of the journey as you're going to have, because something's being asked of your personality to step forward that is more vulnerable and open to others and more open-hearted. I don't think the journey is about belonging and love, but to be on the path that this journey sets you on, you're going to have to confront that challenge in you. Some kind of like a rejection trigger. But yeah, I mean, everything I see is like you'll be ready, willing, and capable of facing it. And you'll know, it's like you're going to know the right time to face that, or the whole transit might be facing that, the whole year transit. But it's like this little wound is something that will be healed due to the journey you're on, or will have to be healed to move through the journey, to progress in the journey. Okay, let's get one more. The Sentinel. Determination and certainty. And the Sentinel, I believe, is a guard, like guards, the castle doors kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, there's so much coming up here about, it's like understanding your boundaries, developing that thick skin, that ability to say yes and no in resonance with you, who you are, which makes you more capable and confident in dealing with others and in dealing with power structures, is like really knowing your boundaries and limits and developing kind of this emperor archetype within you of like more command, more strength, more clarity of direction and clarity of focus. Yeah, this journey in general, and I don't know, I still have this strong feeling that some vision, target, goal is coming through for you guys, but I think it's going to be different for each of you, and that's why I'm not getting specifics around it. But what is clear is that, yeah, there is some very specific vision coming through, and part of the journey of shooting for the star, the specific North Star, or following your North Star, whatever you want to say, following your vision, giving plan and order and goals around your vision, is within the journey of moving towards your vision, or building your vision, or conquering your vision, whatever makes sense to you. You're really going to develop this ability to open up better because you have more inner strength and inner clarity and inner self-confidence and self-worth and self-love. And that makes you feel protected enough to soften and open to others because you're not so dependent on external approval, right? And that's where this protection is coming through. I think you're getting a lot of help with understanding this, a lot of help and guidance around, just integrating all those self elements, self-confidence, self-love, self-worth, in order to be tougher and stronger at the same time. Very interesting. So, as far as I can see, I don't know what each person's specific vision is going to be, but there is a specific vision coming through. You are really stepping into some command and power, and there's an aspect of your personality that is going on an arc from a little bit tender and easily wounded to being tough enough to handle the most intense power dynamics there are, with strength and fortitude and command, like the Emperor, being able to sit in the fire with calmness and strength and vision. Wow, so really developing some power in this transit is like the main thing coming through here. Okay, to end, we are going to get a divine feather message, just something that Spirit wants to bring an encouraging message around, which may add a little layer of context to things, it may not. We'll see what comes through. And this one turned over. So we've got Finch. New opportunities and choices are opening to you now, claim them. And I feel like that's the vision. There's some new vision. And I love seeing, that does give more context that even though you're having like a vision that you now have like aim and direction with, there is like a somewhat clear path toward that externally too. So you have a vision and the world is opening to your vision as well. So less need to kind of, I don't know, just clear out obstructions in your way of the vision. It's like and that's part of maybe the protection coming through, is like obstacles could be cleared for you. It's more about like getting out of your own way, I feel like. Like externally, there aren't obstacles in the way of your vision, but internally, you're learning to not get in your own way, is kind of what this feels like. But I do feel like you end up on this journey of this transit in more powerful realms. And so I don't know that the power dynamic thing that is being picked up on here is like an obstacle. It's just like a maturity thing, having to face and confront some wounds and develop a different kind of thicker skin that allows you to be more soft and vulnerable. But those aren't like obstructions. They're just things that you're growing into, right? So it's more about getting out of your own way, listening to the inner growth that Spirit is trying to guide you around, and really by the end, conquering some kind of vision that's coming through for you here. Opportunity, opening, and claiming your vision. So very cool. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. If this resonated, I always appreciate support with likes, shares, and subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments as well. If you enjoy astrology and you want more like specific interpretations of planets and seasons and signs and all that, I do put out an astrology newsletter that has all sorts of astrology stuff. At least once a week there's some kind of newsletter coming out with the happenings of the moment. So give that, check that out. I'd love to see you guys over on that as well. There is a link to subscribe to that down in the descriptions. Other than that, have a beautiful Jupiter in Gemini transit. It's one that is very powerful and empowering for you guys. This is the overall feel. Okay, see you guys later. Hello, Pile 3. Welcome to your Jupiter in Gemini reading. So you guys picked the Judgment card, and this card is representing sort of an overarching, very general quality that this transit is going to take on for you. And so you guys have the Judgment card, and the Judgment card is all about awakening and ascension. So it's a rebirth energy. It usually has to do with something we have been, learning the hard way and hitting our head against the wall over and over and over, learning, like going through the same learning lessons or the same lesson over and over until we finally figure out and learn. And then through that, it's like a graduation. Like you've been coming up against this same mysterious kind of circumstance that is created in your life over and over and over, like the same pattern constantly happening over and over and over. And it's like, why can't I learn my lesson? Or what is the lesson I'm not seeing here? And it's kind of like going through a university curriculum, and by the end, there is some kind of graduation. There is some kind of assimilation and awakening that does happen. You come into sort of a new understanding, a new, I don't want to say status, but like a new ascended wisdom kind of thing. Not that, and I'm not equating like university is the only way to do that. It's just like one, if you go to college, you're pretty much, and go through the whole until graduation, like guaranteed to have really developed aspects of yourself in much more robust, stronger, more refined ways. There are a gazillion ways to do that. That's just one way of sort of, ascending in some aspect of life. So just like a university curriculum, there is something that you're finally graduating from, that you've been working really hard to learn. And my sense of this is that this is, whatever this revolves around, whatever this awakening and ascension revolves around, is something you've already been in that like process of doing over and over, and having the same pattern happen over and over again for you. Potentially a lifelong pattern that during this year-long transit, you are going to overcome. You're going to get it. You're going to have that aha moment, like, oh, I see now. Sometimes there's a piece of information, obviously our experiences, having lived these patterns, are the foundation for learning. But so often there's some kind of piece of information or a story we see or working with a counselor, whatever it is, but there's usually some epiphany, right? There's like an epiphany moment where you feel like a different eye, a different kind of awareness suddenly turns on. And you're like, oh, wow, how have I not seen this yet? Why was this awareness not turned on in me? And it's because, a lot of us don't have modeling around all sorts of different kinds of awarenesses. We have the modeling for the awarenesses that our models have awarenesses around. And we can't be expected to have certain awarenesses that were never modeled to us. Sometimes we have to learn that on our own. And something's happening here where some kind of awareness that was never modeled to you or accessible to you, you finally find that missing piece to help you open up that awareness. And this transit's really going to help you do that around something that's been eluding you potentially your whole life. If not your whole life, at least many years. Okay, we are now going to look at some oracle cards around the aspect of your personality that this transit is going to bring to the forefront. So we all have many dimensions and many layers to our personality. But different transits can bring different aspects of us more to the forefront. Not saying this is the only aspect that will be forefront, because we have a lot of transits always going on. But what aspect of you will this Jupiter transit bring more forefront than it has been? The air element. And that makes sense. The air element, Gemini, is an air sign. So the mind, being able to move your ideas, have ideas, learn, feel a certain intelligence, feel a certain ability to, and especially with this image, an ability to kind of like pollinate your ideas and make connections. And I do love that this has a very spring energy, sort of like Gemini energy in general, because there's other air signs that aren't as spring oriented. So I love the matching of this, where there's butterflies and petals, and it just feels very Gemini season in general. So it's just like, it feels like a lot of like the side of you that knows how to make connections and pollinate life is coming to the forefront. Even if you've never felt like you've been good at that, I wouldn't be surprised, because of the Judgment card, that maybe this is even a side of your personality that is coming, like starting to turn on better, turn on with more awareness. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards around personality here. The Gardener, that's beautiful. I love the balance that this brings out with the air element. It can be, like this image shows, a little bit ungrounded sometimes. But then the Gardener is coming through to say, like, yes, you may pollinate and create ideas and have a side of you turn on that's more flirtatious and communicative in life, but it's not all just easy breezy and nothing comes of it. I know how to take seeds from that pollination, plant them and cultivate them and grow something. So you have a very balanced aspect of personality coming through, a light side and a very pragmatic side to balance it. I kind of want to just get, before I really like dive even further into the Gardener card, I want to get your Moon card to see, because these are very like, it's like two different opposite aspects of personality, which is kind of funny. So I just want to see what the Moon card says. And so I'm using a Moonology card, and just a heads up, I am sort of going to ignore the message on it, because we're talking about aspects of personality here. I'm more interested in the sign and phase of the moon rather than some kind of forecast based on the sign and moon here. I'm applying it more to personality. So gibbous moon is just generally the moon in its growth phase coming close to not quite to full. It's like sort of that phase between first quarter and full moon. And there isn't a sign given to it. So it's just generally a sense of like that aspect of you that believes in growth, that has motivation, energy, that is feeling your light turning further and further and further on, which both of these would feed off of. That movement and spring energy of like blossoming and pollinating needs the light, as does like planting a garden and cultivating a garden. So that is the unifying factor, is like your light is turning on more and more and more, which does also really tie into some kind of awareness turning on more and more. And through that, being able to really use that light and that awareness in a dual but productive way of generating ideas, moving ideas, and then grounding things and actually planting things. So it's like this aspect of you is turning on and coming forefront, that is creating possibility with the air, and then grounding those possibilities that feel most resonant and doing something with them. So it's really cool energy. And I don't know, I mean, it does feel like, even though we're talking about a part of your personality being pulled forward, this feels to me like a part of your personality that's somewhat newly developing here. But something's turning on, and more light is turning on for you with this Gemini Jupiter transit. It's really beautiful. It's a really nice feel. It's very, I don't know how to say it because there's a sensation in my body, but it just feels nice. It feels good, and it feels like a relief. Sort of like I have this thing coming through of like, especially with like a new awareness opening, how I was talking about sometimes we don't have modeling for how to develop an awareness. But sometimes we can look at others and be like, how do they come from this place? How do they behave in this way? And how do I do that? How do I get to the place where they're at? How do I understand life in the way they understand life? I can see it in others, but it's different to see it in others and have it modeled to you. Just being able to see it in someone isn't quite equating to modeling it. You can mimic a little and start to figure it out for yourself, but I do feel this thing of like, maybe you've seen this kind of energy in other people's personalities and you've wanted it, and you've been like, how do I come from this place or find that place? And there's some kind of awareness turning on for you that turns on and develops that aspect of your personality. Okay, next we are going to move to the bottom here underneath these top cards. We're going to look at, so we've looked at a general theme of Jupiter and Gemini. And then we've looked at kind of the aspect of your personality that it's bringing to the forefront. But Jupiter also has a lot to do with pushing us on journeys. It wants us to expand and grow and step outside of our comfort zone, which always means there's a journey that we go on with Jupiter. And so we have the general gist of that, but let's get some more context about the journey you will be going on. Okay, you have the threshold, which is kind of funny because that's basically just, you know, saying we're going on a journey, crossing the threshold to like a new journey. Very similar to one of the other piles. Let's see. It doesn't, I was going to say maybe pile 1 would be interesting for you guys, but it feels very different. So I don't know. If you did feel called to pile 1 too, you might want to watch it. But there is definitely a kind of a different tone here. But in general, this thing coming through, what is similar to pile 1 here is that this threshold just confirming that there's a new journey that is going to be ignited by this transit, is confirming that it's a very forefront journey, that it's a big deal journey. We have lots of different journeys we're engaged with all the time, and some of them are more important than others. And so, for some piles, the journey that this transit sends them on may be more of a peripheral one that's not central to their lives, but, important nonetheless. This, because the threshold is coming up, just confirming, it's like doubling down on the journey. To me, that's a communication of like, this is a very forefront journey. This is a very important one. It's going to be very felt. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards. So we've got solitude. Interesting. Okay, let me get the little, there's a whole guidebook for this. This card is from the Between Worlds deck, and there's a guidebook for it, but they also have this really handy little pull-out thing that just gives kind of keywords, which I find very useful and helpful when you don't know big, long meanings of cards. It's always nice just to have some keywords to tune into. So it's part of the wisdoms in this deck, and it's turning inward, reset, restore, inner knowing. Yeah, okay, that helps because I was like, it's interesting because the part of your personality being pulled forward feels more social, but then the journey is saying solitude. But what, to me, this is indicating is this ability to be able to come from a better inner knowing place. And that we even see in the eye on the Judgment card. It's like a certain new awareness coming on also gives you new inner knowings. And so this solitude to me is sort of like a whole new inner realm has been opened up to you. That this new awareness is helping your personality in some very external, beautiful ways, but internally it's opening you to a whole new, beautiful, very serene inner realm that maybe you have struggled to find access to. You may have some beautiful, calm, peaceful inner realms you've had access to, but this is like a different kind, a different quality. It's like a whole new inner world suddenly turns on with your new awareness that feels beautiful, that feels like a sanctuary, that feels like a place that helps you to better restore and rejuvenate, better access to healing your energy when it's gotten off or exhausted or out of alignment, just like a more healing realm inside of you that you now have access to. So it's really gorgeous. So something about your journey in this threshold, something about this inner knowing and this inner realm opening up in you is going to feel like a big deal. It's going to feel like part of what you experience in the coming year. Whatever the journey is around, it's part of those experiences are directly related to you finding this inner place. So you could be working on mindfulness, with new awarenesses coming in. You could be, working with a therapist. You could be working with a very specific mindfulness technique that you practice and train in, or some other kind of like Jupiter loves philosophies and different belief systems. And so you may be investing in learning things like Ayurveda or yoga or Tai Chi or something that helps you establish new philosophies and even like life, like integrating aspects of peaceful, mindful lifestyle that through practicing something specific, it's like it helps you to create this world within. So something in that realm could hit for some of you guys. But it does feel like working and practicing with something very specific is integral in helping you to develop this inner solitude. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, and then let's get one more oracle card down here. The Poet. Oh, that's so beautiful. Relationships, vulnerability. But next to this Solitude card, I do just think in this new awareness that's kind of turning on in you, it's like you're seeing life differently. Because you're having some kind of whole new awareness turn on in you, and this journey will ask you to sort of develop this inner landscape of solitude. And because of that, you'd start to see differently. When a new kind of awareness turns on, it doesn't like turn off other awarenesses, but it can integrate some of them. It can make some awarenesses that didn't have a lot of relationship to each other before find some pathways of connection, find some integration, find ways to work better together through the new awareness turning on. And that's what that feels like the new awareness that's turning on in you with this transit is helping other awarenesses within you integrate and assimilate better. And then overall, that's helping you to see life a little bit more beautifully, a little bit more aesthetically, and a little bit more a more poetic connection and sacred seeing of life, a deeper connection and seeing of life as well. And I kind of feel this energy of like that poet energy that I'm feeling here, because we have this same kind of pollinating movement in the card of the Poet as we do in this air element. At the same time, there's this hand that's doing something, and there's things growing out of the hand, kind of like the gardener. And so the Poet to me is also kind of confirming what I was feeling between the air element and the gardener, and that connection to like a part of your personality that is now newly developing. And it is, and I was trying to find a way to talk about these in a unified way because they were such different energies. And all I could find, and it felt right at the time, is that they both need the light, and it's just, bringing out these sides of you that are working well together, but integrated. All of these three integrated as one. As what does that look like as like a specific trait that's developed is like the Poet energy. That's what that is. Like you're becoming more of a poet. And you don't literally have to become a poet. A lot of people see poetically and aren't poets per se. It's just like a way of seeing. And it's like you're just starting to see differently because of new awarenesses turning on in you. So it's really, really beautiful. Okay, I'll put these all back. Yeah, what a gorgeous transit this looks like. I mean, certainly with any Jupiter thing, there's, learning curves. We're always pushed out of our depths a little bit. But the result of this is just like, I don't know, the energy here is I don't have a word for it. I'm trying to find a word for it. It's just luscious, I guess. I don't think luscious is quite right, but that's the closest word I can find for the sensation I'm feeling, for the energy here. Okay, to end things, we are going to get a divine feather message with just a message from Spirit in relationship to this journey. That's a beautiful message. And based on the message that comes, that one wants to come out, that might add some context too as well. So we've got Oriole. A new creative venture is on the horizon. See it as a positive change. Oh, I love that. That does add new context to things, which I love. Yeah, so maybe part of what this transit does is it brings some kind of new creative spark or creative opportunity. So whether it's coming from you, like a new creative idea that you engage, or a creative opportunity that opens to you and brings you into it, whatever it is, there is some kind of creative venture that is the instigator for helping this awareness open, for helping you to step into a whole new threshold of how you see, and some inner world access, and some new personality development. But yeah, some kind of creative venture is like the instigator for it all. Very cool. And see it as it's bringing this positive change. And that's what this feels like, a positive change, something you've been, and not just a positive change like, oh, look, this beautiful change happened, I wasn't expecting it. Like, you've wanted this. Like, I feel like you've craved this change, and it's eluded you though. Like we talked about at the very beginning when it was just the Judgment card out. It's like something you've witnessed, but you didn't know how to access for yourself. But some kind of creative venture is helping you find the threshold to that awareness and access of a way of being internally and externally. Yeah, so gorgeous. I love this. All right, if this resonated, I always appreciate support with likes, shares, and subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments as well. If you do happen to enjoy astrology overall, I do put out an astrology newsletter that has all sorts of, month ahead or new season or planet moving to a new sign and new and full moon stuff. There's usually at least one newsletter coming out a week with all sorts of astrological insight. So I would love it if you guys would check that out. I hope to see some of you there. Down in the descriptions, there is a link to subscribe to that if you want to give it a whirl. All right. I hope you guys have a gorgeous Jupiter in Gemini transit. And yeah, I will see you guys in future readings. Hello, beautiful pile 4. Welcome to your Jupiter in Gemini transit reading. You guys picked the card that is the star card. And I have to say, as I put this card out and kind of got the candle and everything, and I suddenly sort of looked at the framing, I could say something for each pile that differentiated it and made it special, but something very specific came through here. I immediately, compared to the other piles, felt this sense of gravitas, like a sense of something deep here, something... what are the right words? I've lost words that would sufficiently describe what I felt. Powerful and beautiful at the same time. Okay, so diving into the reading beyond this, the card that you picked is representing a very general, overarching kind of energy that you're going to feel associated with this transit of Jupiter. And so a real sense of hope coming through for you guys in this transit. Some kind of new vision could be felt. But even if there isn't like a specific vision, there's some new sense of feeling belief in life, hope for your future, and some kind of potential inspiration coming through too. Even if that inspiration isn't like some specific goal or vision, it's like, you know, sometimes inspiration can just make you feel creative or make you feel connected to something bigger than you. But, you know, the star showing up on this is actually like a compass. So whatever does show up, whatever it is that is giving a vibe of new hope and new belief in life and in the future, could have a specific vision associated with it, or a specific something. Doesn't have to be a vision, but something. It does feel like something specific bringing a sense of hope, bringing a new belief. And I think part of what this sort of depth that I was feeling when I looked at the frame is that I think this was the only card of the 4 piles that's a night setting. And so there is this feeling of being really connected to like intuition, to the spirit realm, to something bigger than yourself, right? Into that great big primordial soup of space. Just feeling connected to, the bigger things, the bigger picture of life. A feeling of something profound here too, like finding not just hope in the future or belief in the future, but centered around something that feels profound, at least to you. Okay, so moving on, we are going to, let's see, I've misplaced one of my decks. What did I do with it? That's weird. Well, I will deal with that when the time comes, because it's not the first deck I'm using. But here it is. We are going to look at some oracle cards to show. I'm going to do 3 oracle cards up on this top row to show which aspect of your personality will be called forward to be more prominent or forefront due to this transit. So we all have many facets and dynamics and layers to our personality and to who we are. And at different points, different parts of us come forward, right? And at any given time, there are lots of things going on. So there are many aspects of us being pulled forward, but there's always many aspects of us that are in the background, right? So we want to see with this particular transit, what is being pulled forward. It may not always be the thing that's forefront over the next year, but it's something that is coming forefront. Okay, I'm filling this card. Summer Dragon. Ooh, beautiful. And this actually does feel like a summer night, right? Like the background isn't snowy. It's looks like it might be green. It's hard to say because it's sort of dark, but it looks like it's green and lush. And then we've got this summer dragon. So part of your personality being pulled forward is the part of you that knows how to create flourishing conditions in life, fruitful conditions in life, and productive conditions in life. So it's a, the summer energy is interesting because it is kind of productive, but it's not like spring is the energy that puts in the hard work. And then we actually get the fruits of those labors in summer. In summer, we're still productive, but not as like forcefully as we are in spring. But we're also in summer, along with that productivity, taking our summer vacations, engaging in more recreation. Like there is this side of us that finds that way to trust that life is growing because we put the work in, but stepping up to the plate to do some work when that's required of us. It's like a certain mature awareness that like, I want to find balance in life. I want to enjoy life and I want to make life be productive too. Finding what our priorities are and really figuring out how to find that personal rhythm and balance in all of it, and to trust in things growing, to trust that life can be fruitful. So that is a part of you stepping forward, is like knowing how to create all the balances and what is the priority and how to trust in life's growth. Okay, let's get a couple more oracle cards around this part of your personality that will be called forward. Treasured memories. So I do feel this like relaxed nature coming forward, this ability to trust in the growth of things, because I would imagine if you are tapping into memories, we can have all sorts of memories, right? But you're tapping into memories that are treasured. And I would have to assume, I know maybe not 100% of the cases out there, but I would have to assume more often than not, a treasured memory is coming from a time where things did feel positive and hopeful and a certain trust in life, right? And so there also is this side of you that's like tapping into really positive nostalgia, remembering. You could be getting in touch with that part of your inner child too, that knew how to trust life, that believed life was magic, that believed life was filled with beauty and wonder and awe. So a little nostalgia coming through, a lot of maturity coming through. Okay, and then we're gonna get also from the Moonology deck one more personality card that's being called forward, aspect of personality. And just a heads up, I'm not going to be reading the message on this card. I'm not concerned with that because we're talking about personality here. I'm just curious about a sign and moon phase and moon sign that I would then just use that to further enhance what this personality aspect is that's coming through. So Libra, new moon energy coming through here. Very, very balanced, very elegant, very diplomatic, and in a way that's solid and sure and confident. There is like that new moon energy is, to me, bringing forth that really dark night sky. So when we have a new moon, the moon rises and sets constantly at different times. The moon is not always out at night. Sometimes it's out during the day and it's only up for part of the night. At a new moon, the moon is fully aligned with the sun. So it's rising with the sun and setting with the sun. So we have zero moon at dark. There's no moon in the night sky. And so it's the darkest time of the month when we're at the new moon. And that's what this feels like with this, when there's no bright city lights and there's no full moon, we see the stars better. And so this does feel like another part of you that's coming forward with this transit, is this ability to be able to go into the unknown and the mystery and the darkness of things, because you have a certain inner confidence and a certain inner trusting that's very wise and experienced. So it's a very interesting mix coming through here. We have sort of that nostalgic, young, inner child energy. We have the summer kind of maturity, flourishing, fruitful time coming through. And then we have like this elder quality. And I love the blend, and it just really indicates with the star card overall, like how dynamic and how deep it is. It's like this part of you, and I'm trying to find a way to tie these all together into like one. What is this when it's all together? How does that look? What is that trait of your personality? And it's funny, in reading 3 or pile 3, when I did this lower row, which we'll get to in just a second, I kind of was having that same thing where there were like a lot of different energies up here, but then something came out down here that was like, oh, that's how those all tie together. So I'm gonna wait and see what comes out in our next section to see if that helps tie all of these together. It's certainly possible that this transit pulls, you know, a few different aspects of your personality to the forefront, which may be the case for you guys, but we'll see when we get into this if there's something that kind of, you know, glues these all together into a more unified quality. But yeah, there is this just general sense of trust overall. There is a general sense of trust in life here coming through that would match what, you know, the star card talks about too. Okay, moving to this bottom row. We want to explore the journey that Jupiter is going to be taking you on during this year-long transit. So Jupiter is the planet that loves to push our boundaries. It loves to push us out of our depths a little in order to grow and expand, and you know, it has a very seeking quality to it, and it wants to broaden our horizons. So inherently those types of things that Jupiter, you know, engages us on are things that kind of push us into journeys. So we want to see what, beyond this star energy, a little more context into what this is. Okay, we've got the Judge. Interesting. This feels like, I'm gonna look at all of these images. So it's like we've got an eye, a skull. Is that like life and death or something? And then it's sort of like stop and, or like no and yes, life and death kind of thing, black and white. We have black and white, but then shades of gray over here. Yes, no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I don't know if you're coming into a stronger, like your convictions about life are becoming stronger, allowing you to make more nuanced judgments, like moving away from having to. And that would make sense with what I'm seeing up here with the different types of personality elements that are showing up here. The way partially that they might congeal is this like ability to trust in yourself and life enough that you're able to see the shades of gray in things. Able to stay away from making such black and white judgments about things, and being willing to like dive into the complexity and seeing into the gray, seeing into the nuances, seeing into the context of things. In relation to the star card, it feels like if this card came out on its own, it kind of has this serious kind of, I I don't know, just a little bit of a harsh tone to it, in at least my vibe, if it were on its own. But like coming out next to the star, there's something about, and what we've already said about this, like trust coming through and belief in life. It feels like a softening. It feels like a softening of your judgment and an ability to open up to see things more broadly in general, which is what Jupiter does. It's like you're suddenly opening up to being able to see things in a more nuanced way, which allows you to accept and sit in certain gray area that maybe used to make you very, very uncomfortable. But you're finding, as you kind of, this Jupiter transit is pushing you to develop this ability to sit in the nuance of things, the subtlety of things, the gray of things. You're finding this whole new sense of being connected to life opening up in you. It's not so harsh anymore. That's what this feels like. An aspect of you that has maybe been coming from a kind of harsh, young, development. And I'm not saying as a whole there's a young development in you, just some aspect of you that the way judgments are maybe made have been coming from kind of a black and white place to a degree. And this is all relative. Like your black and white to somebody else might be very, very nuanced, right? Might feel very gray to another person. So it's all relative to you. Your ability to be less black and white and to be more nuanced is growing, is how I want to say this, because this is a collective reading and it's all just like relative to where you start and where you end, not in terms of, compared to other people in the world. This feels like a very personal thing. Like the level of black and white judgments you're at the moment is really going to be going on a journey to get further and further nuanced and subtle and more gray and more gray. An ability to hold more and more and more complexity and more and more and more nuance. And something about that is actually really enhancing your belief in life and your belief in feeling connected to something greater than you and your belief in humanity. Wow, okay, interesting. I wasn't expecting all of that to come through. Okay, let's get another oracle card. Yeah, the crone. And I was just going to say, with what came through with the judge, I feel very much so that new moon in Libra, because we do have this kind of weighing and measuring going on with Libra, and then the new moon is kind of at once sort of the old and the new moon. Like we plant new intentions at the new moon, but it's also where we've summited last year's intention, so it's also our elder state at the same time. But tuning into more of that elder state was coming through here, like this ability to weigh and measure equity and justice and fairness with so much more nuance, with so much more wisdom and compassion and depth, right? And so now we see that the crone showing up, just as like confirming what was already being felt here. Let's just see, there's this little pull out. There's a whole guidebook for this In Between Worlds, which is what the crone card is from. But then they have this little pull out thing, which is also super helpful. And the crone is one of the guides in this deck, and it is the guide for the Cancer energy, living in the unknown, wise and unafraid, speaking truth to power, shepherd for grief, powerful, paradoxical. Yeah, so that gives even more insight into the kind of nuance you're going to start being able to hold when it comes to sort of like making judgments or weighing and measuring. You're able to, yeah, just like step into very intuitive territory rather than like overly logical territory. You're able to feel things better, and you're coming from this deeply inner place that then gives you the confidence to, yeah, speak certain truths in more, with more conviction, but also more compassion. You're also, with these judgments and the weighing and measuring, and when it comes to like equality and equity and justice and these things, it's like you're able to sit in more difficult terrain too, in terrain where there is more grief, and being connected to more grief opens you up to more love, and that just grows your sense of connection to the greater, the bigger picture overall in general. Yeah, and you're just finding a certain power within yourself here. Feeling kind of that like a wise knowing in you that's just sort of intuitively blessed, and having strong convictions due to sort of like knowing when it's right to push your convictions and when it's right to listen. That's part of being a crone too, is like recognizing when you aren't sure, when you don't know, when you don't have the experience behind you to have a strong conviction in something. So it's like always coming from this very wise, powerful place, because you know exactly when to push your convictions and when to listen, and when to say I don't know and when to say I do know, you know. And it's just like this really profound and plugged in energy. It's just so open. That's what this all feels like. All of these energies up here feel very open to me. Very open. Okay, let's get a last card for this bottom row. Oh, you can't make this up. The wise one. Wow. Tradition, order. And I think rather than strictly sticking to tradition and order, because I feel like we're currently in a moment in our world where we're needing to unpack some of these things, to unlearn some of these things. What I'm feeling about that is sometimes we do throw the baby out with the bathwater when we're trying to do shadow work as a society or as an individual. It can sometimes get overdone. But with a wise one, with a crone status, there's the wisdom to know what things have been working, that are time tested, and that traditionally have brought flourishing, beautiful kinds of results, and what things are toxic, right? And that need to be broken away from. And so that's how I want to interpret this wise one card in terms of tradition and order. It's like being able to discern what tradition and order work well, are time tested and strong and flourishing energy, and what tradition and order need to be broken away from. And that goes in with that judgment. It's like really being able to see what is time tested positively and what is time tested negatively. and discerning the difference, and being able to see also with this nuanced stuff that it isn't always completely black and white, that canceling all of something sometimes isn't the mature, can sometimes be a throwing the baby out with the bathwater type of teenage energy. And that if you can sit in the discomfort and the unknowns and hold some compassion and listen, there sometimes are more nuanced ways to move energy, to move judgments, to move solutions. You know, it's not saying like, I'm not going to cancel this thing or this person. Like, sometimes certain things deserve, you know, to no longer hold influence in the world. It's not saying you don't check things, but, and this is just like an example talking about cancel culture, but it's saying like, instead of jumping on a bandwagon to completely cancel something or someone, thinking about like, well, what can society learn from this to help other people not become this way, or to train our young kids in different ways? And what might be the best way for, not that it would be our responsibility, but maybe there is someone in your circle that, you know, that is closer to home and not this big societal thing of like, well, how do I help this person or situation find a better track, or to learn what it is people are reacting to, and find some kind of, at least for them, you know, some kind of redemption, some kind of like inner seeking, because sort of like coming from this place of like, the more any single person becomes a better person, the better the whole of humanity is, right? And it's like you're seeing that oneness aspect of like, I can't just throw things out black and white. That doesn't serve the whole, right? Every single piece has to be made better in order to make the whole better. And so if I'm just throwing things out, I'm not contributing to the whole of life. I hope I'm speaking a little bit conceptually here, I know, so I hope this is making sense. My guess is if you came to this pile, there is definitely showing a lot of wise energy, so my guess is you probably get what I'm saying. If you don't, I feel like the journey you're about to go on, you could come back in a year and watch this and probably be like, yeah, okay, I get it now. So if you don't get it, like, go in your calendar for like May 2025 and put in an alarm to watch this reading in this pile and come back in a year. That would make me laugh if someone came and commented, having done that after a year and being like, oh, I get it now. But my guess is most of you here probably, at least to a degree, get what I've been trying to say. I don't think you'd be at this pile if you didn't on some level get where I was going here. So anyway, this is, where I'm going to leave you guys. I feel like the personality part up here was never pulled together into one unifying trait. And I did kind of suspect it just is because like different parts of you are being pulled forward with this transit. But overall, there is this different sense of like trust in life and And yeah, just, I don't know, just a trust in life and a trust in life to be more flourishing, and more equitable for all kind of thing. But overall, overall, and I felt this when it was just the star card out here and when we were just starting, is like, there is something deep and profound about this transit that is going to hit for you. It's going to feel like a very, very profound transit to you. And it's really going to stretch your sense of conviction and your nuance around conviction. But overall, just a trust in life too with that. Okay. Oh, wait, there is actually one more card to do. Sorry. We are going to get to end a divine feather message. So a message from Spirit to leave you with for this journey that's positive and may add a little bit of context. Okay, so we've got Osprey. Your success is now at hand. Allow the abundance of flow. Allow the abundance to flow to you effortlessly. Success, abundance, and flow. I like that. I mean, there's really, really wise, profound energy showing up here. And this trust in, we did say a trust in flourishing, which is kind of abundance. A trust in life to grow, a trust in the possibilities of life flourishing. So that definitely showing up as feeling some success and flow in life and some effortlessness as well, with Osprey coming in, just to kind of leave you on a note that gets me back to what I felt with the star card, which I was trying to say before we did this, is like, it just feels beautiful. And so that effortlessness also coming back around here, which is maybe the word I was in a way trying to find at that end point. So, okay, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. If this resonated, I always appreciate support with likes, shares, and subscribes. Always grateful for kind and thoughtful comments as well. If you are interested in astrology as a subject, I do put out an astrology newsletter with all sorts of, there's probably some newsletter going out at least once a week. I do all sorts of things, month ahead, news, astrological seasons, new and full moons, anytime a planet changes signs, all sorts of fun stuff. So would love for you to check that out. Would love to see you guys over there. There is a link to subscribe down in the descriptions. And yeah, anyway, have a beautiful Jupiter in Gemini transit. I hope it's, as profound as this feels and effortless at the same time. All right, I will see you guys in future readings.